Phalaenopsis, commonly known as moth orchids. Also, they are referred to as beginner's orchids. They are called beginner's orchids because they are the easiest orchids to grow from the family Orchidaceae. There are about 60 species in this genus. These species have been used to make thousands of hybrids. Apart from the horticultural trade, the flowers of these plants are very popular in the floristry trade due to their lasting qualities and large sizes. From those qualities, and being such a famous plant, some people buy them and then they die on them. Some people buy them and they want to keep them. These orchids are really easy to rebloom. You can regrow these orchids from year to year, and they may give you a spike or two couple of times in one year. So we will learn in here how to rebloom them. The first thing in this whole process is to cut the spikes, assuming that the plant just came from a florist or it just bloomed. So you cut the spike. As shown in this video, you see scars of all the spikes. Don't mind the leaves, those we cut because they are sunburned, but it's the spike which has the flowers in it. Now after this one was cut, then you can see a new spike has formed. This one is a new one and ready to bloom. You receive a plant like this one, which is from a florist or from a display, and you see the flower is faded, the spike is all spent, now it's almost turning brown. What you do is you put it there, remove everything from the plant, including the staking, all the pins, just so that you have the plant by itself. You remove all the hangers and locate that spike. Make sure you follow this spike to where it begins. So at the very bottom there, where the spike started forming, you follow it down. You get your pruning shears, pruners. Make sure they are sharp, clean and sterile, and then you just put them right at the base where the spike starts and snap, just cut it away. So you cut the spent spike and leave that plant without one. Perfect. Now if you want to repot this plant, you start with the potting mix. This one here is made from Douglas fir barks, horticultural grade charcoal or activated charcoal, and perlite on the ratio of 3:1. Make sure you make it wet, nice and wet. And also, before you start potting, make sure you have sphagnum moss, New Zealand sphagnum moss. You can use an alternative. When New Zealand sphagnum moss is dry, it looks like that, and when you wet it, it looks like that. When you have everything in place, now you can start the potting process. Remove the plant from the old pot. Make sure you remove everything which was surrounding the roots. No matter who potted it and how it was potted, just remove everything so that you have bare roots of the plant. Clean it up good. There will be some dead roots in there. Make sure you remove all of them. You cut out if you need to. Cut out the dead roots. Just leave the newer roots, nice and healthy ones only. Now get you a new pot. Usually you are potting it. Fill it with potting mix halfway, and then take the wet sphagnum moss. Put the wet sphagnum moss inside all the crevices inside the root zones. Make sure all the roots are surrounded by the sphagnum moss. This is important because that's what will be holding the moisture into the roots. That's the moist sphagnum moss. Put into the roots around them. Put the plant in pot, make sure it's firm. Then fill it up on the sides and everywhere with the remaining potting mix. Usually get a pin. You put a pin there so that the plant won't fly away when you're watering it, or if somebody shakes it until when the root starts. And then get the labeling. Make sure you record the date on which you potted this plant for record keeping purposes. It's all done. Clean up the area, and we save this old soil. You can use that old potting mix for other plants like bromeliads and stuff like that, and then tidy up your area, and bam, there you have it. Before taking these plants out for display, or if you're just growing them inside, you may want to clean the leaves up. And in cleaning, just get a wet cloth. You can spray in a little bit mix of like spirit or rubbing alcohol. These leaves are leathery and they're thick. You can just wipe them down to remove all residues which are left there by water, or like salty residues in the leaves which may be unsightly if you want to display the plant. But also, by doing this, you are controlling pests, especially if your wet cloth had a mixture of alcohol in it. And I mean rubbing alcohol, not like booze. So you wipe all the leaves clean. You won't have them. They're really leathery and they're really thick. So you wipe all the leaves clean. Sometimes some people use some products like wax. We have leaf wax. You can wipe them with leaf wax too. It's all nice and shiny right now, just the way you like it. So this plant will be ready for display. Some plants produce big blooms, and because the spikes are thin, they may be leaning. And if you want an upright vertical display, you may want to stake them. So you get a stake, you put it in the pot there, and then make sure you get your spike right, put it in the upright position, lean it on the stake, get some pins, and then pin it up. This way the plant looks upright. This all depends on what you are trying to display. This will all be determined by how you want to display it. But it's important to stake them on the bottom like that. This way the weight of the bloom doesn't break your spikes, even if you want it bent. You can display these plants by just leaning it on a trellis right up against the wall, or you can just put a nice big beautiful bouquet in a rectangular pot, or sometimes a round pot. And that's all that we have about the Phalaenopsis. Thank you.